Are you saying one of these 5 things that makes your spouse shut down? Are you tired of your marriage not growing? You're not alone. Welcome to Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing, a podcast helping couples reignite their relationship, break free from the trap of just getting along, and rediscover the joy and passion they once had. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing. Hi, my name is Greg.
And my name is Carolyn.
In this episode, you'll discover the 5 most common phrases that make spouses emotionally shut down and exactly how to communicate in ways that keep your partner engaged. Definitely looking forward to sharing this information with each and every one of you.
So, 3 benefits that you'll find in this episode is the 5 trigger phrases that instantly make your spouse stop listening and withdraw, why these seemingly innocent words create such powerful defensive reactions, and proven alternatives that keep conversations open and productive.
And again, as we always say, or I always say in this episode, the stakes and the opportunity are very high. And why I say that? Because many Christian couples unknowingly use phrases that trigger their spouse's defenses, creating walls instead of connections. What if changing just a few words could transform how your spouse responds to you?
Okay, so let's talk about point number 1, the 5 trigger phrases that instantly make your spouse stop listening and withdraw. So let's talk about what it is. The most damaging communication patterns that cause emotional shutdown: you always or you never accusations, why would you questions, it's not a big deal dismissals, I told you so superiority, and fine whatever resignation.
And the Bible is very clear again, and we're always using the Bible because the Bible is a clear indication that this stuff is real. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1 teaches that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. These phrases, even when not intended harshly, trigger defensive responses that shut down communication.
And that is so true.
It
So
sure
let's
does.
talk about what to do. Complete a trigger phrase audit for the next week. Track how often you use you always or you never statements.
And here again, notice when you ask, why would you? Questions during conflicts.
Okay, so let's count the times you dismiss concerns with, it's not a big deal.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Observe when you use, I told you so, or superiority language. That's critical in a lot of cases, especially when one spouse may think that they're a little bit more smarter than the next spouse. They'll use words they think that the other person
And
can't.
sometimes it's just out of trying to hurt the other person. So pay attention to when you resort to fine, whatever, resignation.
But again, ask your spouse, which of these phrases affects most when I say them? And we're starting to do that when we're starting to get back, getting everything together. We would ask, hey, is that hurting you? Or should I say something different?
Yeah, or so should I say it differently?
Correct.
Tonality. Point number 2, why these seemingly innocent words create such powerful defense reactions. So let's talk about what it is. The psychological and emotional impact of trigger phrases, how they activate shame, create feelings of being misunderstood, trigger past wounds, and communicate judgment rather than partnership.
And Paul explains this so eloquent to us in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. He instructs us to speak only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs. Understanding why certain phrases tear down helps us choose words that build up instant. Always use words of encouragement.
So let's talk about what to do. Explore the deeper impact of these communication patterns. Recognize that always or never statements feel like character attacks rather than behavior feedback.
Understand that why would you questions amplify foolishness or judgment? Why would, because you passing judgment on that.
Judgment.
Or poor judgment for real.
Acknowledge that dismissive phrases communicate your feelings don't matter.
That's horrible. See how superiority languages create parent-child dynamics instead of partnership. That's horrible.
Realize that resignation phrases signal emotional abandonment.
And we definitely don't want to do that. You notice that throughout this whole conversation that we're having and expressing this with the audience, it's always telling you to have a discussion with your spouse. How do you feel on the inside when you hear these phrases from me?
It's important.
You want to know, how do you feel? How's that making you feel?
Going from our past situation, it made me feel unvalued. So let's talk about point number 3, proven alternatives that keep conversations open and productive. So let's talk about what it is. Specific replacement phrases that address the same concerns while maintaining emotional connection and encouraging dialogue rather than defensiveness.
And again, I know if you ever listen to any of our podcasts, you're going to always hear everything coming from a biblical perspective. And here's Paul telling us again in Colossians chapter 4, verse 6 says, "Let your conversations always be full of grace, seasoned with salt." These alternative approaches maintain both truth and grace in difficult conversations. Because you don't always just want to just be beating the person up. You're trying to get a resolution. Remember, you're married to this person.
But sometimes when your marriage is in trouble, you really do want to beat them up.
Why would you explain that to me?
Because
your marriage is in trouble. You want to beat the person up?
But they don't really realize their marriage is in trouble. So they say things that beat their...
So they're doing that unintentionally? I think they're intentionally doing it?
I think you get a little bit of both. Sometimes it's intentional.
So what do we do to replace those trigger phrases with connection building alternatives? What do we do to combat that?
Okay, so instead of you always or you never, use I noticed it sometimes or in this situation.
Instead of why you, try help me understand, or I'm curious about that.
So instead of it's not a big deal, say I can see this matters to you, or tell me more about why this is important.
And you just keep the dialogue going when you said, instead of I told you so, choose what can we learn from this, or how can we handle this differently next time? You're asking open-end questions right there so you don't repeat yourself.
You sound like you care.
You sound like you care. I love that.
Instead of fine or whatever, express I need a moment to process this, or I want to understand your perspective better.
I like that. And of course, if you practice these alternatives daily until they become your natural response, you will always get a good result if you practice it over and over. And practice makes perfect, or perfect practice makes perfect. So just continually be practicing.
Right. The words you choose in moments of tension have the power to either build bridges or create walls in your marriage. Your spouse isn't being overly sensitive when they shut down. They're protecting themselves from feeling attacked or misunderstood. When you replace those 5 trigger phrases with words that invite connection rather than create defensiveness, not just changing your vocabulary, you're changing the entire emotional climate of your marriage. Remember, the goal isn't to win the conversation, but to win your spouse's heart.
Let's see, I was always trying to win the conversation.
I know you were.
But that was my goal, to win that conversation.
That's what it was.
That caused us to butt heads all the time.
Because sometimes I knew that's what you were doing. I just shut down.
Right. And that's not good, ladies and gentlemen, but we've gotten a lot better. I would say our marriage, what did you say over the years, has gotten at least, are we 100% or we still?
I don't think anybody's ever 100%.
No one's ever 100. We're good 90.
Yeah, we're in the
85.
We're in the good 90.
Okay. Well, let's recap here, because I know you got a lot of places that you could be, and you took some time out to come here and listen to us, and we truly, truly appreciate that. So we identified the 5 most common phrases that make spouses emotionally shut down.
Mm-hmm. We also explored why these seemingly innocent words create powerful defensive reactions.
We learned specific alternative phrases that maintain connection during difficult conversations. We sure did.
And we show that small changes in word choice can create dramatic changes in relationship dynamics.
And if you don't remember anything, just remember the goal of communication is connection, not being right or getting your way. I had to learn that the hard way because I always wanted to get my way and I always wanted to be right.
You wanted to be.
I always wanted to be right, and it was bad. And it caused a lot of conflict and a lot of heartache and pain. So again, we want to thank you for joining us today. New episodes released every Monday and Thursday, so be sure to follow us wherever you're listening to podcasts. If today's message helped you recognize communication patterns that might be shutting down your spouse, please, without a shadow of a doubt, share this with someone whose marriage could benefit from these insights.